Hey guys, welcome to the Video Creator Show. So far, we've covered different types of channels. Should you make long videos, short videos, release frequently, or wait longer between releases? All of these are important questions, but now is time for a new question. What should your channel be about? Most YouTube channels focus on a genre or a niche. These videos revolve around a central theme. It could be their personal life, finance advice, news, do-it-yourself videos, video games, anything. But how do you choose? What do you know what's right for you? Start with something you're well informed on. What are things you watch, consume, analyze simply because you're interested in it? That's your niche. Niches can take many forms. It can be literally anything that isn't brazenly illegal. What do you know about? What do you love? We often become experts in topics we're passionate about because our mind is more receptive when we're fully immersed. The world could use more people who are acting on what they're passionate about. Let's mobilize the spark in ourselves. Be careful about being too methodical. If you're passionate about a topic, then you likely already know what you will find interesting. Remember, this is about engaging with your heart and your passion, not necessarily about just being coldly analytical. Let's jump into it. So, first things first, Augie, how would you describe your niche? Like, how many years of experience did you have before you even started your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so my first YouTube channel, Baller Bootcamp, it's a basketball training channel. So that's really the niche is basketball training. Those kind of videos were, how to shoot a jump shot, all that kind of stuff. And I'd been playing basketball my whole life since like second grade. And I played in college, so I had some credibility there. And, really in college, I guess, is when I kind of really dove into like my own player development. I want to get better. How do I jump higher? How do I dribble better? So I started researching at that point, not really on YouTube, because this was pretty far back. This is like 2007, 2006. But researching, asking other coaches, my college coaches and stuff, give me some drills. And so in doing that and learning new drills and using them myself, I started kind of acquiring the knowledge of, what I thought worked and what I thought was best. And then eventually, I decided that I wanted to, help others get better. So I started, training other players, youth players, kids and stuff like that. And around that same time is when I also started creating YouTube videos of my drills, teaching how to shoot a jump shot or, a new ball handling drill. And so, my niche for me, I didn't really have to search for it or anything. I always knew. As soon as I knew that I wanted to create a YouTube channel, I knew that it was going to be about basketball. I think most people that want to teach something on YouTube, not entertain, but actually teach, do run into what's called imposter syndrome, where you feel like, who am I to be telling all these other people? And I ran into that too. And you feel like you need to find ways to justify yourself and stuff. But really, yeah, to answer your question, I had been playing basketball my whole life. In the basketball training world, I had maybe 1 year of experience as far as training other players. So I was pretty new to that, but I knew that I could just share my own personal drills and stuff.
Sure. So as far as people using this conversation as a tool of self-reflection, do you think that it's like being in love? When you know, is that kind of what you're saying? Is you didn't really have to think about it. You were just like, yes, I want to make a YouTube channel. I love basketball. Here we go. Like, it was almost not even worth thinking about. You just knew.
Yeah, totally. And I think, most people, they'll probably know too, kind of. But if you don't know, if you're like, I know I want to create a YouTube channel, because maybe you're not like into sports or into anything really, and you're like, I want to start a YouTube channel, I just don't know what it to be about. Well, here's a good tip. You can always take the reporter role, right? Not the expert, but the reporter. Meaning, if I wanted to take the reporter role, then I could start a YouTube channel and say, all right, let me go grab my high school coach. Let me put him on the court with me. Let me ask him, hey, I really want to improve my shooting. Can you teach me some stuff? And I think that's useful for a lot of people because then you don't have that imposter syndrome because you're not acting like the expert. You're the reporter. And then eventually what happens is you become the expert. So that's just a quick tip.
So it's like you don't want to fixate on being an expert necessarily. It's more just kind of putting yourself in this realm that you really enjoy and kind of finding where you're comfortable. It's not necessarily about being the single source of information and expertise. It's just about putting yourself in there and taking action.
Yeah, and you know, not every YouTube channel is informational, right? Like with your channel, I mean, it is semi-informational, but a lot of it's entertainment. And his channel is Treesicle. If anybody wants to look it up, it's about almost to 1 million subscribers. And I guess I'll throw the question back at you. So before you did you know you wanted to start a YouTube channel, or did you know that you wanted to start a gaming channel?
What a great question. So I grew up playing video games. I always loved them, but I was always interested in film starting from about middle school. I started making videos when I was 12. So I guess I always knew I wanted to do something involving film or video creation, something in that realm. And there was this kind of totally separate appreciation of video games. And it wasn't until college where some friends of mine wanted to start a video game channel that I just joined and started helping them with that. So it was like, for me, it almost came together on accident versus like with you, it seemed kind of just, it clicked. It was obvious. For me, it was just, I wanted to make videos. I have always loved them. I made a ton of videos between middle school and the end of high school. And then when college came around and this opportunity to create with my friends and just kind of post on YouTube came up, it just so happened that they wanted to make a video game channel. So for me, it was like, I wouldn't say it was calculated, but it was like I ended up tapping into this thing that I already appreciated. So I guess for the people listening, what I'm trying to say is it may not necessarily be obvious what you're looking for. So with Augie, when he knew, he knew. With me, it was like a sort of process of kind of making a video. Like, okay, first we started making just us playing video games and recording them and doing commentary, and then we decided to change it up, and I wrote a script about Samus for Metroid, did the voiceover, did a bunch of editing, and then kind of like during that process of making this new very different video, I learned, oh, I can absolutely express myself this way. So it kind of unfolded, I guess you could say. I didn't necessarily know right off the bat.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty common as far as the, how you start with just commentary over video games. Because what's going to happen with most people when they start their channels is you still have to find your voice, number one, which means, how you are on camera and stuff, and kind of and then also your style. And, if you're looking for growth, then that's important because you want to create different kinds of videos, right? And then see, what your community really enjoys and likes. And then you're like, okay, so this is kind of the direction that I need to go if I want to grow and if I want to keep my community happy.
Totally agree. And one thing I would also recommend to people listening is it's appealing to want to like start immediately with YouTube. And I totally respect that. But if you're looking to kind of build your niche and build your understanding of your niche, I would even just recommend living your life and kind of following your heart, so to speak, outside of YouTube before you start making videos. So what I mean by that, we're in a little bit, we're going to show an example of this girl. Her name is Isabel Page. She has a YouTube channel where her and her brother live out in a tiny house in the woods that they built themselves. They grow their own crops. They go into town like once every 2 weeks or something to buy whatever they need to survive that they can't grow. And it wasn't until they did this for a couple of years that they actually started making money off of it by making videos. So my point here is, you don't necessarily want to grow your hobby while building a YouTube channel, because you may find that doing it both at once, it could be fun, it could work for you, but your main thing is just to become somebody who is worth paying attention to. You know, like before you start trying to get all this attention, are you somebody who actually has knowledge and a life and experience that is worth making videos about? And then that kind of takes the pressure off as well. You're moving in a direction, things are happening, you're excited, but you're also not dealing with like, am I getting enough attention? Am I interesting enough? All these kind of weird, annoying things that naturally pop up when you start getting in the spotlight.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you got to understand that it's going to take a while too. So just be confident in what you're creating. Don't, when your first few videos have literally 5-10 views, like don't let that stop you, because you really need to create the videos for yourself at first and enjoy the process before you ever, dive in full time.
Absolutely. And so, Augie, I wanted to throw this to you. One reason I recommend people wait a little bit to like make sure that their hobby is manifesting, so to speak, is you don't want to corrupt your hobby by making videos about it too early. Or basically, I'm throwing the question to you. Did you ever feel like having a YouTube channel about basketball like corrupted your love of basketball? I definitely found this to be true with video games, where it's like I associated video games with work now. Did that ever happen to you?
I would say no. I definitely, I don't release on that channel anymore. It's a dead channel. So at some point, yes. I mean, I got burnt out, but I don't think it was because of the topic or the overlap of my hobby with the YouTube channel. I think it was more just other outside factors. But for me, I systematized the way that I did my whole YouTube channel. I would batch record. I'm talking ridiculous amounts of videos. Like I remember one time I shot 40 videos in a day.
Oh my God! What?
Yeah.
Are you real?
Yeah. So, that's a long story. Like, so basically what happened was I was going to start a basketball training YouTube channel, almost with like a partner with another guy who was just going to be like the YouTube manager. He wasn't going to really do anything. So I went, and I was excited. This is like when I was going to start my channel. I was so pumped up. I shot so many videos, over like the course of a week or two, with my wife as the camera woman. And then, I'm reaching out to this guy. All right, I got this ready. I did all this work. And he's just like MIA, just not caring. And so eventually I'm like, you know what? This is not going to work. Like I'm all passionate. He's all busy. So I was like, you know what? We're going to break ties and I'm going to do this on my own. And so I'd already shot all those videos under a different name, under a different channel name. So I was like, no, I'm going to reshoot these videos under, a different name, the name that I like. And so that's how I was able to shoot 40 videos in a day. I'd already shot them. So they were already like in the mind, in the brain, So, the next day I'm just like all motivated. We get to the gym at 5 a.m. and we just shoot all day. And I literally shot 40 videos that day. And these are videos, like I said, they were already in my mind, I already had them. And like, I just had like a bullet list of like 40 different video topics, no bullet points under that, no notes, no script. So I would literally just look at the first one. She'd hit record. I would just go. I'd one take everything, and yeah, like I said, I shot 40 videos. So by doing that, I had 40 videos shot. Then I didn't have to shoot a video for the rest of the year, and that's what I would do because I would shoot these videos in the summer, and then in about August I'd go to Europe because I played basketball in Europe at that time, and then we would just have this library of videos that I shot, and we would just release one a week. So it was a pretty painless process. So it never really got, in my hobby of basketball, it never really corrupted that.
Dang, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
Seriously. And I always find that's a good sign when, like, you talked about having all these videos already in your head. You didn't even need to write anything down. I find if my mind is sort of taking mental notes and like creating these ideas just while I'm daydreaming or something, then chances are it's a good idea. Like if some famous film director said something to the effect of writing ideas down is how you know you'll never use them or something. You know, like if your brain just remembers an idea because it's so emotionally attached to it or whatever, that's a good sign. So yeah, if for people listening, if your brain is constantly like ruminating on an idea or thinking about it or like constantly kind of adding onto it through essentially no effort of your own, keep that in mind of being a good thing. For sure.
Yeah, and you know, I'll just add one more note to what I said. 'Cause some people are like, "Oh, that's a great idea. I'm just going to batch record, 20 videos." And I think that reason is part of the reason that my channel never had major breakthroughs. I never got to the 1,000,000 subscriber mark or anything like that because, first of all, the videos were kind of short and rushed a little bit, right? That's a lot of videos for a day. I mean, some of my videos were literally 2.5 minutes long. And this was around the time that YouTube changed their algorithm and really started rewarding longer videos, the watch time, and I saw it happen as I was in Europe. Like, how come everybody in my niche right now is all of a sudden releasing these 10-minute long videos? What's going on here? Let me do some research. And now I'm stuck with all these videos that I'm not stuck, but I could create more, but I was in Europe. I was busy. I was playing, I didn't want to go on the court and do all these drills. I was focused on practice and stuff. But anyways, so it kind of put me in a box in a way to where I was, okay, I know I need to be releasing 10-minute long videos. I'm only releasing 2-minute long videos that are kind of rushed. So I know that, that did not sit well with the algorithm and stuff. So, yeah, just a little side note there.
Sure. Yeah. And that's always one fun thing about being on YouTube is sometimes the algorithm shifts and now the game is different.
Yeah.
It seems to have been reasonably consistent recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember those days where it was changing a lot.
Yeah.
And how fun that was.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Grant, you did drop a little Easter egg there saying that you did feel like pressure or that, your hobby was corrupted a little bit by the fact that you felt pressure to create YouTube videos about video games. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, when I first started playing video games as a kid, it was completely pure. It was just if I felt like playing, I would play them. My parents wouldn't let me play them on weekdays, so weekends was, that was the big time. And then, obviously, fast forward to my early 20s, I start a YouTube channel with my friends in college. It starts to take off. Again, that channel is called Tree Skull. And at first, because I had a full-time job outside of YouTube, it was pretty easy to keep YouTube pure, It was all just kind of like, what do we think is funny? What do we think is interesting? And for the first couple years, it was totally fine. When it really started to feel that YouTube was corrupting my love of video games was when we went full-time YouTube. So now, at this period in my life, I didn't have any job besides YouTube. So now decisions are being made more about money than about passion or about just what's funny, what's entertaining. And as soon as that switch flips, I think for a lot of people, you start getting in dangerous territory where you might feel this isn't as fun anymore. This is stressful. This is like worse than a normal job, or I never felt it was worse than a normal job, but it got to the point where I would play video games and then just stop after 15 minutes. Like I could barely even play them. And so what I had to do was I ended up just taking a step back from YouTube and working very minimally on it for a long time. That was really the only way I could figure it out, because I knew I wanted to keep doing YouTube. I wanted to keep playing video games, and not being able to play them, it felt like a part of my inner child had died or something. I know that sounds very dramatic, but it was important to me to figure this out and to sort of rekindle my love of games. So yeah, I needed a break. I took a break. I found other ways to make money. My break coincided with, all of the fun societal COVID stuff. So it kind of felt like it was good timing, while everybody was like, I don't know what reality is. Everything is weird. I was like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing either. I'm just chilling and making money in ways that don't stress me out. So I did that for like a year and a half. I just find distance. Keep in mind, there's various stages of corruption. Corruption is a very intense word, but we're going to keep using it. You might find, this isn't as fun anymore. No big deal. You might be like me, where you're kind of like on the edge of a mental breakdown and driving 10 hours out to Utah, to be in a cabin for 3 days, things like that. I was definitely on the far end of this is bad. So it took a lot of time. But if you are more self-aware than I was, then you could kind of like see it coming. And instead of doing all these big dramatic things in silly fun road trips, you could just take a step back. Maybe, work 10 hours a week doing something so that you're not totally relying on YouTube. Just being aware of how you are feeling about what you're talking about and compare it to how you felt before YouTube started getting weird. It's just about being self-aware and being honest with yourself about if this is healthy and then actually taking action. So that's what I did.
Nice. And I know you have other people that work on the channel with you and stuff. For that year and a half, did no uploads go up, or what happened there?
So we uploaded maybe 4 times in a year.
Okay.
3 times. Whereas before we were uploading like twice a week.
Okay.
So that's over 100 videos a year down to about 4. And for me, it kind of worked out. So we had 2 channels at the time. We talked about one of them on this channel, like a full episode dedicated to Bonsai Pop, an anime channel. We had a team of 4. 2 guys took Bonsai Pop, and then me and one other guy took Treesicle, the video game channel that we talked about earlier. So because of that split, it was easy to just kind of do our own thing with Treesicle. The guy I was working with on Treesicle, and still am, he made money other ways too. He's very into coding, so he got some part-time coding jobs, which pay very well. So we were both just able to do our thing and live our lives, figure out who we were outside of YouTube. It was weirdly not obvious.
Yeah.
So
during that time, 4 uploads in a year, what did that do to your channel? Like, how many views a month were you getting before that compared to maybe like at the end of that year?
Let's see here. So recalling numbers off the top of my head, I mean, I guess we could bring up the Social Blade, but I believe before we stopped posting a lot, we were probably getting like 2 million views a month, 1.5 million, something like that. Now we're probably getting, I don't know, 100,000. Honestly, it went down quite a lot, for sure. But here's the thing. So a lot of people, they like look at their monthly analytics and they'll panic. They'll panic. They're like, oh, I'm not getting as many views. But if you're not uploading, that's what happens. So I just kind of didn't stress about that. It was like, well, this is a natural consequence. So instead, what I focused on was how well do videos do when we do upload? And lo and behold, the numbers were about the same, if not better, because the videos were better, because I wasn't burned out and people were enjoying them more.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking at your Social Blade right now. What happened in the month of August 2019? It looks like you guys removed some videos.
August of 2019. What do you mean?
Let me go ahead and just bring it up on the screen. I'm
Sure,
like,
yeah.
putting me on blast right here. What I'm seeing is just like a negative 2 million views or something like that. And normally that is when videos are removed from the channel.
I think I know what happened here. I just want to make sure. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So this is kind of juicy. There was a scandal in the gaming community that we made a video about. I could mention his name. Basically, we made a video about a guy named Pro Jared. He got into some hot water for various things that he did. We made 2 videos that blew up, like they got millions of views. Then essentially those videos were up for quite a long time. You can see that bump in May of 2019.
Yeah.
It went up from like 2 million to almost 5 million a month. That was when these videos about the scandal did very well. And then kind of a few months later, there was some updates about what happened, and essentially we made an update video, and we decided to hide the old videos behind the update video. And by hide, I just mean like you could only see the old videos after watching the new video. And the reason for this was we just felt like you should have up-to-date information before seeing the out-of-date information, and we labeled the old videos outdated as well, just so that we wanted to be accurate
and ethical,
and ethical, yeah. So even though the guy got in hot water for very, he messed up. We're also not trying to like slander him or anything. It was just that's what happened. It was just trying to be as ethical as possible.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, my channel was getting, about 400, 500,000 views a month before I stopped uploading. And I mean, it's down, I think, to like 50,000 views a month. And it's been probably about 4 years at least since I've uploaded consistently. And I always wonder what would happen if all of a sudden I started uploading, 2 a week or something on that channel. Have you ever seen somebody do that? What happens to channels when you go kind of black on them? And then is there any hope for those channels anymore? Do you know?
Yeah, I totally believe there is full hope for those channels. And so the way YouTube works now, my understanding, and YouTube themselves has confirmed this, is they want you to succeed as often as possible. They understand that sometimes you just don't feel like uploading, sometimes for years. My understanding is now YouTube, when you upload a video, regardless of how long it's been, it essentially just looks at that video individually. And it does keep in mind like how your channel has done in the past, but YouTube knows you haven't uploaded. So it's not going to judge you based on that. It's just going to look at your video. It's going to take into account a little bit of your success rate in the past, but overall, it's only going to judge you independently. So, if you make a video and the watch time is crazy high, that video is going to do great. Like when we didn't upload for, I think it was 9 months, and then we released a 45-minute video on a pretty popular game. And now that video is sitting at like almost 400,000 views. And I think it's about being true to yourself. If you don't feel like uploading, don't upload. Especially if it's not your full-time job. So yes, there's absolutely hope for those channels.
Nice. And it's funny because you and I definitely come from like different YouTube worlds. Like you are more of a creative and I'm more business minded. So if you are doing this for your business, right, then you kind of put yourself in a different boat, right? Like then you kind of do have to have a consistent upload schedule if that's your full-time job, right? You can't risk it. What on the other spectrum, right? You have people that are doing it for fun, And not just, I mean, everyone wants to make money, right? You want to have a little bit of income, whether you're just doing it for a creative outlet or whatever, you want to have income from it. But, you know, there's a line that you would have to cross. Do I want to make this my full-time thing? If so, then you have to kind of fight through the creative block. You have to fight through, you know, the stress that comes with it. If it's not a full-time thing, then yeah, take breaks. You know, you're like you did it for 7 years. You know, that's a long time. You know, I did it. I think I survived 4 years before I called it quits. And maybe I only survived 4 years because I was on the business-minded side, and eventually I just called it quits because I was only looking at the dollars. Where you, although you don't upload as much anymore, you still consider yourself running that channel, and you guys still are uploading there. So I would just say, be careful to the listeners. You know, be careful on what path you're going down, and I guess it's all about balance, right? In life, everything's all about balance. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Completely agree about balance, and I'm glad you brought that up about pushing through creative blocks as well, because if you followed my advice to the total ideal, then you might not ever get anything done. Like, so you do have to push through sometimes, and that's why I was talking about just keeping an eye on yourself and where your head is at, and being honest, because yeah, even if this is just kind of a side thing, you're not always going to feel like working. You're not always going to feel like making these videos, even if you're passionate about the subject. And so, yeah, you will have to somewhat frequently push yourself, and that is totally okay. It's just a matter of cultivating and keeping alive your initial passion for why you're doing this. And that can be a process.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Let's get off our soapboxes for a little bit, and let's take a look at some of these channels, because get back to the topic at hand, which is, what should I even make a channel about? What is my niche? So I'm going to go ahead and bring up that Isabel Page YouTube channel real quick. This is the first time I saw her, but I'll say, first off, she's got to have some sort of videography experience. I mean, her cinematography is incredible. She's got about 600,000 subscribers getting there. And you want to talk a little bit about her channel, since you've obviously been a fan?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've been watching her for a couple years now. And I guess, yeah, just over a year now that I think about it. And what initially appealed to me about her is she's really just living her life and making videos about it. And there's a lot of cringy people who try to do that, but she's very authentic. And yeah, I'm glad you're just kind of clicking through some of her earlier videos here. And her thing is she lives in a cabin in the woods, and she just kind of talks about her life. And obviously this is an early video where she's talking about teaching in Sri Lanka. But again, it's all kind of around the theme of living her life as she is and just kind of talking about it. And you'll notice her videos are on the longer side. This one's 20 minutes. And that works very well for her. Again, longer videos, they can rack up lots of watch time. And with her videos in particular, because they're so cozy, they're interesting, they're unique. Like, most people aren't successfully living in the woods, or if they are, they're like a weird curmudgeoned hermit or something. But she's very cool. She's philosophical, she's practical. And you can really get lost in what she's making. There's a real feeling that these videos give you of just kind of living in the forest, and it's cozy.
I mean, I'm just reading this comment right now. It says, I'm a 48-year-old mom of 3 who was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer in early 2021, and I've endured surgeries and treatments. A family member passed away. All this heartache. Okay, so this lady's spilling her heart. And then she says, but Isabel, when you encouraged us all to breathe in with you and exhale all the pain and negativity from 2022, you genuinely made me feel like we are all connected and not alone. And you reminded me we all have the pain and struggles to endure. I absolutely adore you. You beautiful something sprite. I think she meant spirit there. But yeah, this
ethereal sprite.
Yeah, ethereal. I've never heard that word. But yeah, so she's definitely connecting with her community and creating videos that add value to people's lives. So props to her. I mean, it's just for that, props to her, but also props to her because, like you saw in a second ago, like one of her it was her second video, but I think it was really her first video as far as starting her consistent uploads, was just 2 years ago. And she has grown to 578,000 subscribers. So she's doing amazing things on multiple fronts here, not only in growth, but in connecting with people and delivering value. Like I said, her videos are beautiful. They're absolutely incredible. She must spend, if I'm going to throw a number out there, 15 to 20 hours on a video, I would say, from beginning to end. And let's go ahead and take a look at her social blade real quick.
Definitely.
And just reading that comment, that was inspiring. You know, that's kind of the reason a lot of people do this, right? Is just to, make the world a better place. And you think like, hey, I'm just creating YouTube for creativity, for fun. But people don't know how impactful, like people really rely on your videos sometimes. And I remember even with my channel, when I stopped uploading, people got pissed. And people got upset, like, hey, you helped me so much, get improved so much. I made my high school varsity team. No one thought I was going to make it, blah, blah, blah. And now you're not uploading. I'm like, and like, that's, those are the things that can help motivate you to keep going. So powerful stuff there. Okay. So like I said, she created her channel in 2010, but like I said, she didn't start really uploading since 2 years ago consistently. She has 114 uploads in about 2 years, so that's pretty good. 59 million views, that's pretty good. And you can see that she's getting about 3 to 5 million views a month, which is pretty good.
Yeah, and you'll notice she doesn't upload that frequently. I think it's like a couple times a month, like once every 2 weeks ish, and she's still pulling in 3 to 5 million views a month, or maybe like 2 to 5 million.
Yeah.
But it speaks to the power of her backlog. Her videos are like, you can watch a video from a year ago, and it's still just as good. You're still kind of getting lost in this atmosphere that she's portraying to you, her life in the woods, and it's evergreen content, you could say.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of, and here's the thing too, is like, not only is she creating like good content, but it's like I said, the cinematography and stuff is the stuff that like just hooks you. Like when you see like a drone shot over like a snowy forest, like that's a good enough hook for me. Like I know that's going to be like a solid video when I see something like that, where a lot of people think like you have to hook people in the beginning by like teasing them, basically like creating like some sort of open loop in their mind, like, hey, look, a fight's about to break out, cut, hey guys, welcome to my channel. That's normally how people try to hook, but like let's talk about other ways how to hook. Like how about your opening shot just be breathtaking? Like that's enough for me to say, oh wow. And like I think that's kind of like the what I was gonna say, the Peter McKinnon vibe, right? He's like a great videographer and photographer, and his videos, that's kind of how he made his own niche, was by just upping the quality of his videos, which people don't do it often enough, I don't think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally agree. Like the right equipment and knowing how to use it is key. And another thing, especially with the idea of like really owning your niche, it's clear that she loves being out there, even when she hates it. So she'll talk about it's the dead of winter and her brother is gone for 2 weeks and she's just in like a tiny house in the middle of nowhere and it's dumping snow and it's super cold and there's nobody around. And days like that can be really difficult. and she'll just open up about what she's feeling. And a lot of people, they'll like try to create this air of like, my life is so awesome and so beautiful, and you wish you had my life. But she doesn't do that. She's just very real. Like when she's happy, like you can tell, like you can see it in her eyes. She is glowing. She's vivacious. And when she's depressed, she is depressed, and she's going through things, and she talks about it and kind of how she endures loneliness or boredom or, no matter what path you take in life, you're going to have to endure some things. And she is very open about it. And I think when you have that foundation of authenticity, your goal ends up being to convey what you're actually feeling and what's actually happening, and maybe just packaging it appealingly. That to me is the best recipe for success. So she moved out there. She just wanted to live her best life, and she did it, and then happened to start making money. It wasn't the other way around. And yeah, it's just like your internal mindset, how you actually feel about something, and the actions you're really taking outside of YouTube, they affect YouTube. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's all about, you want to be relatable, right, with your audience. And no one's happy and pumped up and stuff every single day. Sometimes you are feeling a little down. And I think sharing that with your audience makes them just relate with you better, and also sympathize with you in a way too, to where like you're going to get, pick me up comments, right? People are going to say, hey, sorry that happened. You're better than that. You can get through this. And that's where the community starts to build, right? And then in the next video, you're saying, thank you guys for all the great comments in my last video. That meant a lot. And now you have almost a relationship with these viewers, where they're reciprocating back to you and you're reciprocating back to them. And I think that's the holy grail, right? That's the ultimate, to where when you someday have a meetup, or when you someday are at a conference and you run into some of your fans, like they come up to you and they say, hey, you changed my life. And that could really be the ultimate goal for some people in their channels.
Totally. And in a purely selfish way too, that sort of authenticity is less work. Like it's like, have you ever gone to a party and like tried to be someone you're not? Like, the younger you are, the more likely that was to have happened. But college, absolutely. 100% college.
Yeah.
It's exhausting. It's really tired. Like you go home after trying to be, maybe I was trying to be a frat guy or something, but I wasn't in a frat. Never had an interest in joining a frat, but I don't know. Anyway, I was trying to be somebody I wasn't necessarily. And it's like a lot of energy to keep that up, because you're like, it's like your mind is constantly racing. What do I say next? What do I do next? How do I impress this person? Or you could just figure out who you are and then be that person. And that is easier said than done, for sure. But my point is, if you can just be real, then you don't have to put so much energy into creating this persona. And that's so huge. It's so important.
Yeah, it's all about authenticity, right? Being genuine on YouTube. People like that. So,
and with that, let's get into our closing thoughts. Often, we're trying too hard to find the perfect topics. We're looking for something that's trending or that we think will be popular. But what if we simply looked at ourselves? What if the thing you already care about is not only good enough, but it is also the best option for you to succeed? Let's not try so hard to be someone else. Let's just let it flow. It's time to own your niche.